What is up, Oak Life Familiar? It is Greg of Chris and Greg and Chris, back at it again with another Roots and Branches. I'm flying solo, only for this portion, but we're going to keep this party going. And today we are talking about sabbatical. And what does that mean for you, Oak Life?
Yeah, look, I get crazy when the mic round. No sense of getting hyped now, but I'm...
Yes, it is good times. It is good times to chat through some updates that we have going on here at Oak Life. And I wanted to take an opportunity to communicate some things with you. Now, just giving you a heads up, Chris is on his way doing some doctor checkup with the elbow. So he will join us, hopefully, all goes well, momentarily. That being said, I still wanted to communicate some things to the broader Oak Life community via this platform, R&B Roots and Branches. So if you tuned in to service this past Sunday, we took our section, Humans of Oak Life, to chat with Chris and to chat with Dev about a couple of updates. So if you missed out, go check that out. But I'll give you an update right now. Chris will be taking a sabbatical, which is a break based on the practices of Sabbath, taking time to rest. The practice among some pastors and some theological backgrounds is that every 7 years or so, you take about a segment of time off. So Chris has decided to take 3 months off. So the following months, May, June, July, Chris will be taking a break, a much needed vacation. The insider information is that this was supposed to happen a year ago. We all know what happened a year ago, right? So long overdue time frame for Chris to take the break. In planning and preparing for that, Chris and the leadership team at Oak Life kind of put our heads together and thought through what would be the best way to continue while Chris is on break. And that was to have an interim speaking pastor to just facilitate the conversation and the overall sermon process at Oak Life. Oh, and here's Chris. Let me see. Let's see. You ready to rock? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and give Chris a little bit of time to check in. That being said, the interim speaking pastor that we've decided on is none other than Dev Cooney, who is a champ and is actually our pastoral intern right now. The term is not intern, but pastoral resident. So it just was a perfect kind of a shoe-in to keep the conversation going, add to that pastoral residency for Dev. So I am very, very excited. The direction as far as theme for conversation over the next 3 months are, hold on. Chris, if you're watching, you asked me if it's working. It's not working. It's not working. The conversation, apologies for that. That's what happens when you're live. The conversation topic will be the fruits of the spirit, which is pretty cool. Had some opportunity to chat with Dev regarding some insight and some ideas, and the next 3 months are going to be packed full of the dopest insight around fruit, literally and spiritually, and what that means for us relationally as individuals and humans of Oak Life. So very, very exciting times coming up. Also, with Chris being on break, I'm going to be flying solo with the Roots and Branches thing. So I have 2 questions for you, Oak Life Familiar. First question is, if you're interested, I want to share something with you. Bam. We have just put in the description below, Roots and Branches Conversations, a little brief insight to what Roots and Branches is and where you come in. We want to know, What conversations are you trying to be a part of? Just some general ideas here, and there's a space below if you have your own specific ideas that you'd want to chat through. Make sure to take an opportunity to click that link in the description below. Fill out the form really quick. Let us know what your conversational requests are, where your heart is, where you're trying to spend time and energy unpackaging this life we have together. That's what this is for. That's what Roots and Branches is for. And we have Chris coming in live via vehicle. Boom pow. What is up, Chris?
Hey, this thing working?
We got a little bit of a goof.
Yeah, this may not. You're frozen on my end, so. And
Am I frozen? Am I frozen?
Yeah. But it could be. I only got like 2 bars, so.
All right. Well, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you at least hear me or no?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, well, that's good enough, man. That'll work. So basically, I just kind of updated everybody on just a general idea of sabbatical. What does that look like logistically as far as time frame goes? The interim pastor, and then a little bit of the Google form as to where they can drop some insight as to what they would hope to be a part of as far as conversations over the next 3 months. So you didn't miss out on too much.
Cool.
But yeah, man, give us your take on it.
If you watched Sunday, you heard me kind of give a little bit of like the backstory, but basically it's a pretty common practice. I'm getting a ton of echo. I'm sorry.
No worries. Hold on. Let me do something.
If anybody's hanging with us, I just got out of the doctor, so I was like, I'll jump on if I can, if I have enough signal. Check. Yeah, it sounds good now. Can you hear me?
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, basically, it's like a pretty common practice amongst clergy or pastors to take time in some sort of pattern, extended time off, and other vocations too. Actually, I have a friend who's a professor at UC Berkeley who had like a full year sabbatical. They're supposed to do some research and stuff there too. But this was something that it's scheduled according to our job descriptions every 7 years. Roughly, Greg should get one at his 7-year mark, which I don't know. We'll have to do the timing on that. That'll be fun. But it's a few months off. It's 12 weeks. And it can be all at once or it can be separate, but we're choosing to do it all at once. And so with leadership team approval and making sure we have all our things set up, and Greg talked about the interim pastor Dev's going to be sharing this really cool sermon series about fruits of the Spirit. It just kind of lined up. And this year, it was supposed to be last year, but it got deferred because we had a child. And it's, in hindsight, a good thing that it happened that way because of the pandemic. And I didn't really get parental leave. I got like 2 weeks, but we were like dealing with the crises of how to adapt church for the pandemic, which is crazy. And so I'm really, really grateful to have the time and space. And we're going to go to we have a house in Oregon for a little bit. We're going to stay on the coast. I'm going to go to a monastery, a Carmelite monastery in Big Sur. And it's like a silent monastery, and they do the massive hours, I forget what they call that, but throughout the day, there's different moments to have worship services and just chill. And going to do some reading and hanging out and decompressing. I think after this last year, like a lot of us, we're all probably pretty fatigued. And the hope is that, like, the goal is, one, it's like a biblical practice of modeling rest. And also it's a chance to reconnect to God and rethink things and evaluate. For those, like, most people probably don't know this, but basically since I've been 18, I've worked either part-time or full-time nonstop in churches with a couple small windows of exceptions. And church work is pretty uniquely grueling. It's like soul sweat. There are times of high stress, but there are times it's just that, it's a grind more than anything, because don't know if you knew this, but there's a Sunday every week. It's crazy.
What? And, that's 52 a year.
Yeah, it's nonstop. So you have to really build in intentional rest time. And it's not a clock in, clock out kind of job. It's like there's always more people that could use some support or prayer or talking to. there's just always more work to be done. And so I think I've had many mentors tell me, like, over the years, like, the only way you sustain ministry throughout your entire career, like long term, is building in intentional time off. And this is probably true of
Yeah.
every career, like anything. We have to have that. And it's that scarcity mindset, the capitalist, like, we have to produce and perform and keep going and growing constantly. Like, that's the mindset that pushes back against this idea of rest. And I think so in some ways it's like, what a wonderful witness to our broader world that Oak Life models sabbatical for staff. And
Yeah.
some things that I do might slip through the cracks that I don't realize that I do, but that's okay, because it's not about any one person. So I've talked a bunch there. That's kind of the idea, and I'm really grateful for it. And who knows, it'll be weird. I think it'll be hard to turn off things, but I'm glad that I have the invitation to do so at the very least.
Yeah, 100%. We got a comment from Sarah Anderson. Sarah, I miss you, fam. I hope that you and yours are well right now. Liturgy of the Hours. Hope you love it and get fed.
Yeah.
And then we got comment from the Artistry Vault Media. Hey, yo, what up, Artistry Vault? What's popping?
Hey, thanks. That's awesome, Sarah. Thanks for that. I was like, that's it. Liturgy of the Hours. And it's a monastery I've wanted to go to for so long in Big Sur. I think there's 8 rooms and they all like overlook the ocean. It's kind of cheap. It's hard to get there, and you have to be quiet. You can't talk to the monks. You can join the Liturgy of the Hours. And I think you can go to they offer some meals in their like communal kitchen. But yeah, it'll just be good to get away and chill and be with those people who live there.
Yeah.
Sarah, it's good to hear from you. It's been a minute. I think I saw that you guys got a new place of residence / boat. That's awesome.
On a boat. Oh, yeah. That's the good stuff. But yeah, man. So what's the update on the elbow, man? I'm going to put you on blast.
Oh, it's good prognosis. It's healing up well. Nothing's out of place. So I just have to get it checked in every couple weeks or every week to make sure it's healing right. Because they didn't put it because it's an elbow. They didn't put it in a cast because they want me to actually move it so it heals with mobility. So that's just took a while to get some X-rays.
Got it. No, that makes sense, man. That makes sense. So yeah, that's huge. What a testament to the community that you can take time off and Oak Life will still be Oak Life because it's not one person as it shouldn't be. Should be a community effort. So it's a beautiful thing that you get the opportunity to do that, and we get the opportunity to still have the Oak Life community. There's so many individuals that make Oak Life what it is. So I'm excited to experience the next coming months. It's gonna be fun times.
Yeah, and thank you, Greg. It's gonna be a lot of I mean, we're scaling back some things, but a lot of the week-to-week stuff you're gonna be in charge of. So thank you for loving me in a way that allows me to take that time, and I hope to be able to return the favor. By the way, nice hat.
I was just gonna say, go ahead.
I was supposed to like switch it around. I can't see what you're doing, but did you have it backwards or forward?
So we turned our hat forwards at the same time. So for those of you at home watching, apparently this is official Oak Life pastor hat is the Oakland A's. Yep. So that's the sponsor for this Monday's Roots and Branches is the Oakland Athletics, and good times.
What's the most restful you've ever felt in your life, Greg? Like, when's the time you've felt most rested? Could be something like week to week, could be like a time of the week or a season. When have you felt most rested?
So that's a good question. I think the first thing that came to mind wasn't a time, but more so not a time as far as calendar or clock cadence, but whenever I've had a massively productive day, I got to do everything from physical strenuous tasks to mental strenuous tasks to emotional strenuous tasks, but it was all for like a positive output. And then I get to go to sleep knowing that things got done that needed to get done. That's when I feel rested, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what it is.
Yeah. Do you, when's the last time you took time off? Like a week or two?
So a week or two vacation, Christmas, where we
That's right.
visited family in Vegas. If you've ever traveled with uh infant, it's not a vacation. So yeah, I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
don't remember the last time I took a break like that. But
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. Once kids come, it's a different thing altogether. Like
yeah,
you either have to like build in like one person if you have the privilege of having like two parents with the kid. Like you have to like tap in. Like all right, you go take 6 hours
yep,
or a day or a night or something. Like
yep.
for like even for this, it's just a whole complicated thing. For me to go to a monastery for a few nights requires my partner to take the lion's share of childcare and stuff, and we both work full time, and so we just have to like make sure we're balancing that out. It's weird though. Like so, I think Sabbath, rest, vacation, whatever, takes intentionality, but our culture, we're not built for it. We're not built for like rest. And I think even internally, so many of us feel guilty, like taking time to recharge, and we've never learned how. Like, what is it? I know if like sometimes I think of like, oh, it'd be really restful, like watching that TV show.
Hmm.
And I watched that show and it's not restful. Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what I need to
one
do
hundred
is like
percent.
eat a pizza and do this thing and like end up scrolling on my phone. Like, this is what I was doing in my. So I think there's like a ton of intentionality that actually is required of good rest.
Well said. Well said. That's really good. I think it's funny because you mentioned pizza as I was thinking about it. Those times when you're hungry and you're like, I could really, and then you eat it and then you don't feel satiated. You don't feel hungry, but now you that at least for me, I'm filled
Mm-hmm.
with like, oh, I'm lethargic now and I don't feel nourished. I feel heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
yeah, it's rest is something that is very intentional. You asked in one of the couch conversations recently, do people spend more time thinking about the future or thinking about the past? And there's that old saying, I heard it through Kung Fu Panda, but it was alive before then. But it's, extended time in the future is what produces anxiety, and extended time in the past mentally is what produces depression. And it's like um, staying in the present without being distracted in the present, right? So on your phone doesn't actually you're in other people's lives, not your own body. So taking those spaces and time to be in your own body in the moment
Mm-hmm.
without thinking of the future or the past. Oh man, that's
Yep.
some heavy lifting. Like you said,
Totally.
our society hasn't established a normal practice of that. So in order to do that, it's almost like rebellious in a
Yep.
sense. It's good.
It was weird. Well, I don't know if you were at that. I think you were at the leadership team meeting when we were. I had to like propose this and get this approved from our board, our leadership team, and everyone. Our leadership team is so damn supportive and they're amazing human beings. But it was still a weird conversation because uh, I sensed like, and I even heard like, not it's not something that other people have as an option right now. Like, oh, that like I'd be nice to take a couple months off. um,
We lost Chris. Oh, is he back?
Am I back? Somebody's calling me. How dare you? Um,
If you
but
want to
like,
talk to Chris, you got to comment in the chat. You can't just call him. Disrespect.
that's funny. But only because I'm on my phone. And probably some spam call. But this idea of it, you feeling guilty when you take vacation, like when you're, and there is an immense privilege in being able to like have the flexibility and freedom to not work for a little bit or to. But I think you can build that in. You could set up like plan ahead, like and be intentional about finding times. And it doesn't require. Honestly, some of the most restful days have been free, like they don't cost any money. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking about that with like just people in our community, and like I think somebody in our leadership team texted me afterward and was like, everybody deserves a sabbatical this year. Um, yeah. So I don't know. Like I say all that to say, anybody who's watching, the best thing you can do for the world coming out of the pandemic and just in general is building in a pattern of rest somehow, which I'm not that great at. Um, yeah. Do you ever feel guilty when you like take time off?
Uh, little bit. I always feel like a part of me always feels like there's something I could or should be doing,
Right.
and if I'm not doing something, then it's it's not helpful to me or anyone else. So in times where I do find quote unquote me time that's not on the phone or technologically involved, it's something like I'm gonna spend time in a sauna where I'm intentionally going to do this thing for 10 minutes, or I'm going to intentionally read this book, or I'm going to intentionally meditate for 5 minutes, or like I kind of set a goal and there's like a deadline, there's a space, and within that space, there's freedom to enjoy the rest because the space is carved out. If
Totally.
the space isn't carved out and communicated, then I do feel like I'm dropping the ball somewhere.
Yep. Yeah. How's that going for you, for your crew?
It changes because life changes, and it's a personality flaw of mine, to just kind of go with the flow. It has its strengths and it has its setbacks. So having a carved out time for rest is in constant flux, so it doesn't exist. But I try to find pockets here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, the pockets is integrating that in is definitely a challenge. But yeah, that'll be as you all continue to give yourself to so many people and have a family, finding that.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, let's put on our pastor hats, dude. What does the Bible say about rest and Sabbath?
A lot. You tell me. You're in seminary.
Yeah, but I'm only in like my third quarter, bro. Like third or fourth, I don't remember.
So it's fresh.
Right now we're in worship, so I'm more thinking through arts and what does that mean in a corporate worship body. So we're not talking about rest, we're talking about action right now. So dust off those cobwebs, man. What do you remember?
Look at this. We can play tennis all day. I'll go back and forth. No, I think we've talked about this. Even like we did a talk a month or two ago on rest as resistance, I think is the title. Mm-hmm. And like it hit like people, it felt like, oh yeah, everyone was like, we needed to talk about that. And we highlighted this Instagram account called Nap Ministry, which is all about take naps, and like that should voice, or that voice like I need to be doing something, like fight that, because that's from the devil. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's an obligation to your neighbor, or it's motivation to like get up and take action. But sometimes it needs to be the opposite. So yeah, Jesus slept a third of his life, right? Always was going off and being Regina, that ministry, they're the best. And I wish, it's funny, I went to their website that Sunday to see if they'd be able to, like, I wonder if we could hire them as like a guest speaker or something. And they're like, they have like a disclaimer: at this time, we're not taking any speaking dates. We're not yielding or fielding any requests for us to join your church service, because that goes against what we do, basically. So we're gonna put out our content and have a boundary and take rest, which is like how prophetic, countercultural is that? Because I think our culture would be like, you got publicity, leverage that, capitalize on that, become an influencer, make money. They're like, nope. Which is, I do think, kind of the Jesus call of like, he could have gathered more attention, but he went out and had a nap instead. So
good, I think, man.
I mean, the Sabbath weekly, like that's a biblical concept, whether it's the actual, Friday night at sunset or whatever till Sunday, or somehow putting that in your pattern. I think the idea biblically, I said this like before, like the Jewish community amongst their other communities historically, like around them in the ancient Near East, they were perceived as being like the weird people who took a day off. Like, what the heck? Like, and going back to God resting on the creation story. So there's my whole pastor pitch. What I miss, Greg? Pastor Greg.
I wouldn't say you miss it. I think you capitalized on all of it. Some of the ideas that I heard is this idea of trust in our relationship with God, that we don't have to do it all. And operating from a place of faith versus scarcity, that kind of mindset that you have to do the work, otherwise nothing will get done. That's a burden that we don't have to carry. There's other burdens that we do have to carry, so why carry that one too, right?
Yep.
And I think that one's really good. And at the time in which this Genesis story was shared through to the Israelites while they were in the first exile, their whole livelihood in slavery and bondage was your only worth is your ability to work. If you don't have an ability to work, then you are worthless. And this narrative of trusting God, and amidst a bunch of themes within the creation story, is this idea of Sabbath and rest, because you are worth rest. You are worth more than work. So you have to separate yourself from work to get that remembrance of, oh yeah, there is more to life than doing, right? Human being, right? So yeah,
your job, your work is not who you are.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. What a gift that is to the world. And I mean, still counter-cultural, like all these years later, especially in a globe that's largely dominated by like monetizing everything, commodifying all of our work and the environment itself. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, our planet needs a break, man. We need to slow down. So yeah, if we could give our planet Earth, Mother Earth, a Sabbath.
Some could argue that this past year was that.
Yeah, I remember that conversation being like, look, dolphins are coming back to this like estuary, and like it's happening. And I read some studies that it was a negligible amount. Like, we're still burning carbon, and we're doing all sorts of stuff that's we gotta figure this stuff out. Yeah, but that, I mean, ecologically, like, Sabbath is so necessary, like in farming patterns and farming rhythms, for our own bodies. So much of like our long-term chronic health issues are because we're overworked and stressed out, like inflammation and heart disease, and like we need to take time off. And that's the greatest thing. When I hear people like, when people take time off and like have vacations, I'm like happy for them. Like, we're actually all happy at the end of the day. It's some sort of it's the man that's making us feel like we all gotta be doing more.
Man got the thumb on us, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put you on blast really quick. I have a very limited church experience outside of Oak Life, but in the few spaces that I have been in, there was always this idea that you couldn't leave. You couldn't take a break. You for sure couldn't go to another church. But this idea of leaving was so frowned upon because there was more work to do, right? And Chris was the first individual where I saw a very, very influential person in the origin of the Oak Life story have an opportunity to leave. And it was celebrated. And I was like, what? We celebrate that around here? So like, it's not necessarily rest, but just the idea of parting ways from work and responsibility is an opportunity to celebrate. I first experienced that from you as a part of Oak Life. It's not something I'm used to. And I don't think most people are used to seeing that.
Well, I take full credit for that, Greg. It was totally my idea. No, the idea of people, all of it, like church, we should be the organization, the community that doesn't feel that pressure to keep performing and doing and showing, like, all of it. And a lot of that, like people leaving, that fear of people leaving is really rooted in some weird tribalism thing that ultimately the kingdom of God is bigger than Oak Life or whatever, our little pocket that we want to maintain, our little kingdom. So yeah, there's a lot of people, there was a moment where I was trying to convince you to leave Oak Life.
I remember that and almost did. And if you want to hear more about that, fill out the form one more time. Go ahead and hit up the form and let us know, what conversations do you want to be a part of? Little Oak Life background. Let us know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's God moved in that time, because I was
like, God moves big all the time.
Yeah.
That was a fun one though.
Yep.
Oh, good times.
Well, I'm really I'm grateful for the community. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna rest and try not to try to disconnect. But I'm really, really, really excited for Dev.
Yes.
It feels like a godsend. If you all had seen the way, like, all this lined up is like, okay, I'm hoping to take this time off, and devs already discerning their call in ministry and pastoring and like something, church planting, who knows. And it's like, well, what a cool window, a time to try it out, do a sermon series, like get a chance to like hold that space and that part of the potential calling. And then because they already know our community, our culture, like it's just a seamless, beautiful window to have them try it out, experiment, have fun. And that's like, I love our community because I think there's this sense of like, cool, this is gonna be like, what an opportunity. There's no loss. It's just, it feels like a win all around. The one exception I do, like, I feel bad that you're gonna be running everything for 3 months.
I'll just take my sabbatical. I mean, does it count? When does sabbatical start for me? Does it start when I became a pastor, or when I started as staff?
It's probably whenever you want to propose it to the leadership team.
Got it.
Like,
right.
They'd probably be like, "Yeah, you deserve it." Like, I just the clock started for me once we started Oak Life. Like,
Okay.
going. So, if it's from when you were on staff, you're overdue.
Yeah.
If it's when you're full time, that could be a different one.
That could be a different one.
But you should plan.
I'm gonna propose something later.
Yeah, where would let's say it's next summer. Where would you go on your sabbatical?
Oh man,
what would you do?
If I could go anywhere, like just figuratively speaking, it would be somewhere in Japan. That's where I would be. But more logistically, with I think Japan is small enough and big enough. If you know what I'm talking about, like there's a lot happening there that there's places to get away and be with nature and just absorb this culture. And because it's so counter to what I'm used to, it will force me to be in the moment, right? So it kind of helps with that. But then also there's a lot of city and gaming and entertainment life out there as well. Mm-hmm. So that would be fun. But as far as logistically, I don't know. I'd have to run it by the boss and see what we can come up with.
You should start dreaming. Start thinking about it.
Yeah. Probably I want to. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to visit some like Jerusalem or something. That could be cool.
Ooh, yeah, dude. And I bet your partner Andy would love that.
That would be fire. Yeah, I'll start dreaming. I'll dream once you come back. For the first these next 3 months, I ain't gonna have time to dream.
And but I'm gonna push you on that because the when I went to Israel, it was through Fuller, through the seminary you're a part of, and they have a really cool, like, I think it's like a 10-day trip that spouses are allowed to go to, and it might count as classes. I don't know. Do you have many electives? Probably not, huh?
I don't know how many I have left. I'd have to check.
Yeah. Well, you could always. I don't. Well, I think it was just an extra class. We just paid for it because it was like traveling Israel, Palestine with like archaeology professors, Old Testament, New Testament professors. Like, what a cool opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully in a couple years, pandemic will be slowed down and stuff. Well, that'll be a feasible trip. I'll send you a link, bro. You should do it.
Yeah, do it. Let's do it, man. I'll do the roots and branches from Palestine. I'll have my Lego Jesus.
That's awesome.
That's good stuff, man.
And
well,
food there would fit you guys. Mediterranean food, like is this like, what's that called? The pita bread, but then the
talking about hummus.
There's lots
Baba
of
ganoush.
Baba ganoush, yes. But what's like it's
falafel?
Like a protein falafel. That's it. Tons of falafel.
I love falafel. Falafel's the best. Man, I wouldn't go hungry out there. Not at all. Oh man. Well, that's good stuff. I think that's a good point. To call it.
Cool.
All right. I will say that we have next week, which is Roots and Branches, regularly scheduled program. You got something planned?
Not yet. There'll be something cool.
There'll be something. And then that's it. That's the last one, huh? For you before sabbatical, right?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I'll have to look at the calendar. I think so.
Cool. Well, again, last push, people. For those of you watching live and for those of you who will be watching later or who are watching later at this point, one more time, one more push. Go to the link. Fill this out. Let us know what kind of conversations you want to be a part of in the next coming months. Again, the Roots and Branches space is your space. So fill it out. Let us know what you want, and then we'll do it. It's kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Super fun.
Well, all right, Oak Life Familia. Go ahead and close us out with something, Chris.
Everyone should plan their sabbatical. Should make it happen. A week, a day, a couple weeks. Should put something on the calendar. Do something that makes you rest. And if you need help, talk to me.
Chris would love to talk to you about taking rest. That's what he does best. All right, Oak Life. Peace.
That's it. That's it for today. Talk to you.